Okay, I'm about to do the first oil change on my 2023 Challenger Hellcat. I've done a lot of research, and essentially, there are three oil filters, right, that are really fantastic for this vehicle or that are recommended for use in this vehicle. The number one oil filter of choice for your SRT or is it's made by Mopar, so it's an official Mopar oil filter. It's the SRT. It's the white SRT oil filter. I don't have it because they're currently back ordered for at least another month. And the part number on that, right? You see how this is MO899. The part number on the white SRT oil filter is MO041. I'll put links in the description to everything that I'm talking about right here. I'll put some links in the description to all these parts. So the SRT oil filter is going to be your number one choice. Your second choice oil filter actually is going to be this Mobil 1 part number M1-210A. This is actually of the same, if not slightly better build quality than the SRT filter, but it's definitely a much higher quality filter than your Mopar MO899, okay? And now there are some videos that actually dissect these particular filters, and they run through the entire construction, the filter material, the micron filtration. They have bench tests on this thing where they send the oil out after 3,000 miles, after 6,000, after 10, after 20,000 miles to the lab to have it analyzed. These are absolutely top-notch filters, and you can feel it in the weight. The wall, the thickness of the wall on this, right? It's not flimsy. You can't like squish it, right? It's very strong and sturdy. You can see the thread count right there, right? So that has like 5 or 6 threads on the inside here, and this one only has like 3. Okay. Your openings, right? The openings are a little bit smaller than on this. I mean, sorry, there's less openings, but they have larger inner diameters, so you basically get the same throughput. But what this does is this forces the oil to move through the filter in a much more uniform fashion. It also has a higher pleat count. It has a metal pinch clip on the pleats versus glue. It has, a better internal filter mesh material than this particular filter does. Very, very good filter here, okay? Like absolutely top notch. But I'm doing the 500, actually 600 mile oil change. It's recommended you change the oil at 500 or 600 miles. I think the factory is 500 miles, and then again at 1,500 miles, and then from there on out every 3,000 miles. Dodge puts this particular Pennzoil Ultra Platinum Full Synthetic 040 made for SRT engines. This is an SAE SP spec, or API. It's API SP spec, see? So it's SAE and then API SP right there. The API SP spec is the absolute highest specification for any motor oil. It is the most rigorous, it's the most recent specification for a motor oil, and I believe there are only 2 oils that currently meet that specification. Dodge puts this in from the factory, so there's no break-in oil that is being used in these particular engines, and Mopar Dodge actually does not recommend using break-in oil. They recommend only this oil only, right? And if you're like, well, I'm going to go with Royal Purple, or I'm going to go with Mobil 1, blah, 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 know that those oils do not meet the API SP certification. Those oils meet much, much older certification standards, not the newest standard, which is a much more rigorous standard. And then I'm going to install, this is the F106N Fumoto valve. This is for the oil drain pan. This we're going to put on at 20 foot-pounds. And then this is for the oil cooler, the F137S for the oil cooler. And then these are little caps that come with the kit here, and a drain hose, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like after I get it installed, or at least throw some clips in there on the install process. Now for my first 500 mile oil change, I'm probably going to end up going with this particular filter here because you're going to have, more contaminants in the engine. This is a more expensive filter than this, obviously, but you're going to have more contaminants during the break-in period, so you probably want to go with a little bit of a better filter during break-in. After break-in, you can go with this guy if you want, or you can go with the SRT filter. They're hard to get. Obviously, they're so popular that they're constantly on back order. And that's for good reason, because the quality of that filter is pretty outstanding. And then one of the things you want to know when you're changing oil on this car is that you do want to drain the oil cooler, right? So you want to pull your filter down, drain the oil cool, drain the oil pan, drain everything. Let the engine run for 5 minutes to get that oil, warm enough so that the viscosity decreases and it flows out of the oil cooler very, very nicely. And then you're going to want to fill your oil filter up to the top as much as you can. Fill that up with oil. Let it sit for a while because it's going to soak in, right? So let that sit, and then you might have to top it off after it sits for a bit. You'll put that on, and then you're going to want to put about 6 quarts of oil into your engine. Let your engine run for about 5 minutes, then let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. Come back, check the dipstick, and then you're going to enter into like a top-off situation where you may end up putting in another quarter, third, or half of a quart or so. But you're definitely going to want to buy 7 quarts of oil. I have a link on Amazon to buy this for about $8.28 a quart, which is pretty much cheaper than you can get it anywhere. So that's in the description. Check that out. And we'll get to it.